background on you, and you actually say it so well. So could you let everybody know how your journey into wellness began?
Sure. Journey into wellness began pretty much at birth. I have a very unusual family, very, very unusual. And it was deeply traumatic. And I was very determined to find a solution. So um, somehow I knew that the solution for mental health and health in general is not in Western medicine, and I put myself through a PhD at Sorbonne University in international development with minor in anthropology, so so I could understand how other culture in other part of the world they managed to heal themselves, and that took me to Africa, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Senegal, then Asia, Thailand, Brazil, Costa Rica, French Guiana, um, Hawaii, Japan, New Zealand, and Australia. And the accumulation of all that wisdom from different culture led me to create a new modality which really works very, very well. And it's functional medicine, no drugs, no side effects, no, it's not invasive, and there is no surgery at all. So we now on the nonprofit side, we successfully take a homeless veteran that suffers from PTSD, drug addiction, suicidal ideation, major depression disorder, chronic pain, traumatic brain injury. Takes about 2 to 3 days and it's gone. It doesn't come back. And allow the homeless, suicidal veterans to become a productive member of society. On the nonprofit, also, we treat sex trafficking survivors and criminals and extreme case like this. So it's very rewarding. It's very exciting, and this year I'm celebrating my 20-year working as a contractor for the Executive Office of the President of the United States. So a lot of things to look forward to. And the thing that I believe we're going to share today is that I got promoted as a chief scientific officer for a corporation here in Northern Virginia, close to DC, which is Mira Scientific. It's labs for physicians. And I'm also on the board of director. I'm a director at the board, and I will be also the director for research and development for functional medicine. So that gives me access to lots of data, lots of blood analysis, and lots of tests, lots of research, and I'm really looking forward to this. The other part is on the virus that we are dealing with right now. And we have a little story which is interesting, which is leading now to a scientific article of what we are writing right now. We already have 172 references. We're waiting on the blood results. And I have a friend, Paul, and we share, a living space. And I have another friend, and he lives in the same building, Tim. And Paul got the virus, and Tim got the virus. So I was exposed to the virus every day, and inside the living space, I don't wear any mask. I'm French, so I shake hands and hug and all of that. So for sure, I was exposed to it. And so they went for 2 weeks. It was, very dramatic. Loss of energy, no taste of smell, and then they lost the sense of smell, lost the sense of taste, a lot of fever, 17 hours of sleep. I mean, it was dramatic. I was fine, no symptoms, and after 4 or 5 weeks, we did a blood test to see if they have the antibodies, and sure enough, they have the antibodies, and they thought that I should have the antibodies because I had no symptoms whatsoever. So they did a blood test on me, and to the surprise of everybody at the lab, I don't have the antibodies, which now leads to an investigation. It's kind of a mini scientific research, and we have enough data to do a case study, so we're going to write the case study. There is something whether hopefully we can see this in the blood, but there is something about, I guess I would assume, my immune system in my blood that prevented me from having the virus. And even though I have no vaccine and I don't have any antibodies. So that's interesting. So the first part is to write this case study, and then the second part will be for more like a 6-month study, probably 600 people. We're gonna call the people who get tested positive and ask within their family if some of them got it, some of them did not, even though they were exposed to it. And then we're gonna ask them to come and do blood analysis and questionnaire, and based on that research, we'll be able to see that there is apparently some people who actually, uh, despite being exposed to it, don't get it. But we still don't know. We still don't fully understand why and how this is happening, but it is happening for sure. So that's very interesting. Are you here, Denise?
Apologize. I had to do a little schedule change there.
Yeah.
So I had to take myself off. Um, Tasha, do you have any questions for Dr. Chevalier with the research that's going on and the phenomenon that he's seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I've had the pleasure of interviewing him on the subject already, and so I just want to kind of touch on some of the things that we spoke about in our video, um, which is available to anyone on my platforms if you guys are interested in watching that hour-long, really interesting video. And so, we were speaking about natural immunity, which we'll speak about with some of the other doctors later. Um, but we were speaking also about just your research, blood tests, the things that you are currently working on. And so we were also talking about there are other illnesses in the world. And again, I have the trait for beta thalassemia, and so we were talking along the lines of, this is really interesting that maybe some people already carry some trait. And so, just for the viewers, can you speak to, I guess, that idea that has come out about the blood types? Because that was something that was really prevalent. And so, can you share some of that information that you shared with me before about the blood types? Because your research is specific to the blood. So,
Right.
I think
So
that would
on
be
the blood, I
interesting to
think
share.
right, exactly. So my blood type is very universal. I don't have like a special blood type. And I did read some articles that some people say that some blood type are more immune to the virus than others. And I looked into the research, and I think it's a little bit premature to talk about this a little bit. I think we need a lot more research if to claim, that one blood type is kind of immune or has greater chances to be immune than the other. However, we're looking at the blood. I mean, they also took the urine and all that. We have different tests and hair analysis, so that we are accumulating as many variables, and data as possible. Because quite frankly, we don't know. The hypothesis at the beginning is immune system. That through the blood analysis, we can have LGM and LG different things we can look into the blood to see if my immune system has something as a pattern. What we want is to be able to observe a pattern. If there is something we observe in the immune system through the blood, and if we are successful in identifying a pattern, and then we can extrapolate that to a bigger sample size of like 600 people, then would be successful to say, hey, if that's the immune system pattern that will allow you have a higher chance to be free from this virus. And then the question comes, how do you get this? Well, so I'm a naturopathic doctor, so obviously I'm very careful what I eat. I'm not in my best shape right now. I've been a lot of stress, and so I'm slightly overweight. So obviously I'm 47. I'm not exactly in my 20s. So, but the interesting fact is I haven't seen the doctor since 2001, and every time I do my taxes, medical expenses is $0. So I do, and in DC, the other fact that's interesting in DC, I was talking about this morning with a friend of mine, but in DC, when I came here, everybody told me, you know what, Antoine, in 3 years, you're going to have allergies like everybody else because we have a lot of pollen. here, and then in the fall, and everybody get allergies. I haven't had allergies. I've been living here for 21 years. So there is something, obviously there's something. And to be honest, I really don't know. I mean, I follow my research, I practice what I teach, but what we're trying to do is scientifically to pinpoint what it is about my immune system that allow me to not contract the virus, even though I don't have the antibodies. And I think it's very interesting, very, very interesting to identify, because and then if we are successful at it, then what is the methodology for you to achieve that pattern in your immune system? Because it's like I said, I mean, I haven't seen the doctor since 2001. So that's obviously something that I think right now is becoming very prevalent and very relevant, since the world is going through a health crisis. And so I think the goal for people, and I'm going to write a book about this for sure. And I'm very scientific minded, so we're going to accumulate a lot of data. We're going to sort through that. We're going to, analyze this and publish some papers, and then a book will be written, and then a methodology would be created for people. And that's very, very empowering. I mean, the topic of this conference is empowerment. I mean, talking about empowerment, if you can actually develop an immune system that gets you to that level where you can be confident that you're not going to get sick, even though I'm not really in my best sleep patterns right now, and I'm not in my best shape, and even though I didn't get it, and trust me, I've been exposed to it every day.
So, Dr. Chevalier, I want to thank you for the time you spent with me, but for everyone else, I spent a day with Dr. Chevalier, and in that day, he basically kind of awakened me. I went into the process, with a very foggy mind, and when I was through for the day, my mind was like clear, and I was thinking, more than I had in a long time. With the conference being about empowerment, I've basically been designing Malou to be inclusive of what you're doing, and my nonprofit as well is going to be bringing in the same types. And I want you out there. But the big thing is there's only one Dr. Chevalier. How do we get more people on the empowerment subject? How do we get more people to have the training that you have and to work the miracles that you do?
Yeah. So great questions. Good to see you, Charles. We had such a great time. I love it. And yeah, you look great. I mean, you look great. You really do. And so very happy to see you here. And the thing is, I can teach what I do. So I can. The thing that I'm not going to make the same mistake as my previous teachers. I'm going to do the scientific study first, and then I'm going to publish it. And when it's published, and I will use, especially from the brain, I use the functional MRI, which nobody can argue against that. Nobody can argue against functional MRI. It's data. It's there. You can't really cheat mathematics. I mean, the data are the data. And then, yes, you can, go into the interpretation, but you know what? If you can increase neuroplasticity and connectivity by more than 70%, and we can prove it by scanning your brain before and after, that's data. So once we have that published, that would be the scientific foundation for the teaching. Then I'll open a school, which will, validate what I do, but also for the students, because the students who will be certified by me can always go back to the scientific validation that already has been done before the teaching. And though that's adding value to certification that we're going to give to the students, though the students will have the confidence. And part of the curriculum is, so not everybody is going to be able to do this, but some people will be. And we're going to grow a little group, mid-sized group, bigger group, etc. It's for the next generation. And one of the certification to pass the test is, if you learn from me, I'm going to give you someone who is suffering from, let's just say, TBI and PTSD for more than 15 years. We're going to scan his brain. You're going to do the session, and we're going to scan the brain of your patient right after. And if you increase the neuroplasticity, guess what? You get the certification. Because the machine doesn't lie. So we're going to use the functional MRI in a very no-nonsense way, to prove what we do, we actually heal the brain. But that's what we do, especially on the mental health side. For the virus that we just talked about, it goes beyond that. We can talk also for the other disease, like we just said. It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning of a vast movement that we can launch. And I'm looking forward to be working with you, Charles. I mean, this is exciting. In Texas and the land that I truly remember when you were sharing this with me. So it's going to be fun.
There is, we share a passion basically in sharing knowledge and healing people with as many people as possible. So I was certainly blown away by your techniques and your talents, and I'm totally into hosting training seminars with future therapists that want to work with you. I think I told you I had a friend that was both addicted to methamphetamines, and I wanted to send him out to you. And so as soon as I came back, he wasn't talking, and then I found him in prison. So he's currently in jail, but as soon as he gets out, he's the guy that needs to come see you because he's addicted. He's addicted to meth. He's been back to prison multiple times, and I know that's a passion of yours to correct multiple offenders. But thank you for all you do, and thank you for being on here and sharing your gifts.
I really appreciate it, Charles. I'm looking forward to treat your friend. Those guys who go in and out, go to jail, get out, go back to jail, get out, go back to jail, get out. If I can catch them, when they're outside of jail, they get a session and then they don't go back. So that's something we're going to document. Obviously, we have a mini documentary review. Charles, that would be amazing, and then we can. After that, expand on social media and be smart about, what kind of strategy we're going to apply so more people benefit from this.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Doctor.
Well, we have go ahead.
Go ahead, Charles. Sorry.
I was just going to say, while we had a pause, talk to us about what's next with you. What are you really focused on in the next year?
So, well, this year, since now I'm pretty much in charge of the science department and also leadership on the lab, which that is going to give me lots and lots of options that I didn't have before, and that's a major breakthrough. And also, we have a connection here in Northern Virginia with University, George Mason University, for the functional MRI study. So if Washington DC does not explode, then we can then we could do something this year very, very, very significant and very beneficial for a fellow human, for especially our brothers in arms who are in the streets right now, committing suicide like never before. So we have a solution for this. So we actually do testing. We actually do test the homeless too. Believe it or not, we actually receiving the funds from the government for that. So that's extremely exciting to be able to have that social impact, that human impact. So that's basically, one stone, two targets. I don't want to say birds because I care about the animals. But basically, we through that lab, we're gonna have lots of avenues, lots of research, and I don't lose my focus of what I'm supposed to do first. But we can add in terms of either funds, but also scientific data, that homeless population. Okay, we can test them, give them a session, test them again, and we have a connection with George Mason University for functional MRI, and then a professor there at the university. So this is really happening, and this is very, very exciting. Very exciting. I just came back from Florida. I treated an autistic child, and the kid was just bouncing and biting his mom and hitting his head against the wall, and it was like a living hell. Every 2 hours he goes, and I just got a text message, and he would get up at 3 a.m. every morning. Got a text message from the mother. He got up at 6 a.m. this morning, and he hasn't had an issue for yesterday for 8 hours straight, no problem.
So, Dr. Chevalier,
wow, that's amazing.
how do people reach you to be a part of the research that's going on with the virus, as well as the ongoing research? And he's also partnered up with Dr. Golda in her research platform as well. So this is global. This is not a localized body of research.
I totally forgot. I totally apologize. The paper that we are writing right now on the virus and then, the approach, Dr. Golda is part of the project. I have a partner in Japan, Dr. Nakano, and I have another doctor in Dubai, and I have another doctor in Missouri. So we're going to have like a bunch of doctors, and I also have a student in anthropology who's going to help, who's going to be helping from medical anthropology side. So this paper is going to be phenomenal. It's very, very exciting. And I'm looking forward to be working with Dr. Golda. She's my senior, she's my mentor. So I'm deeply grateful. I'm sitting on her shoulder right now. So I'm very, very grateful. I would not be where I am right now without Dr. Golda and those giants before me who had so many breakthroughs. And it's the CAM, the Center for Complementary Alternative Medicine at the NIH, so I'm very, very grateful for that, of course. It's such an honor to be working with Dr. Golda.
That's the beauty of CannaWorld. We connect the world, literally connect the world. Thank you. So how do people reach you to
yes, it's so now it's very easy to remember. We changed the name, www.heal.llc. So heal, HEAL.LLC, Limited Liability Corporation.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Jessica, do you have any final questions for Dr. Antoine?
Oh my gosh. When are we going to get to see you again? I miss you.
I know.
Virtual hugs from like across the continent. Oh my goodness. I know. Missing you, brother.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Totally.
So, I mean, it's
huge hug.
It has been quite a journey that we have been on since we first met, and
yes,
what to say the least. And here we are. I mean, you're with us on the very first CannaWorld Expo last year, and you're with us on the opening day, our opening CannaWorld Expo of 2021. I mean, what a blessing we have. I mean, there's so much to be grateful for with everything that is going on, to have these connections, these friendships. Even though we are far away, we get these wonderful platforms still here with Zoom and through Facebook Live that we're also doing, where we can still at least see each other. And as you know, energy is energy. It crosses it. It doesn't matter the distance and stuff. We can get into the whole quantum discussions and things like that. But that's for another time. However,
you know how much I would love that.
I know. Too bad you weren't here to enjoy the coffee and all the yumminess that we've got going on, which I'm going to sneak in here in between you and our next presenter to give an update in a moment. However, we're able to still energetically on that quantum level connect with everyone.
Yes.
Even though we may not physically be there. Being able to at least have the visual connection as well, I think allows people to have to not maybe perhaps feel as isolated as well.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful quantum entanglements.
It is. I love quantum entanglements.
I love it too.
So hopefully you'll be able to stay with us throughout the day, Dr. Antoine.
I will.
Thank you.
I had a little urgent phone call to make right before, but it's done. The problem is solved. So I'll stay, definitely, because for me, it's like being in a candy store,